Hello, BookTube. Yesterday in a Steve stream, Steve Donahue asked his audience how they bought their books. I get the impression that the question was in part a reaction to another video or sort of a spinoff of another video he made, which was a reaction to a video from another booktuber, as well as something to do with his mysterious writing project that he's been hinting at for weeks. So I thought it would be interesting and perhaps helpful for Steve if I made a video talking about my own book buying habits. Also, at the end, I will address the fact that I didn't make a video yesterday, which may be screwing up the approach to 900 videos. Also, if you would like to ask a question for my Q&A, there's still time, and I will hopefully leave a link to that video in the show notes as well. But anyway, so my book buying is exclusively online, and there's a reason for that, which I will get to after I talk about how I like the online booksellers that I use. So the online booksellers I use are Amazon, Alibris, Powell's, Book People, Labyrinth, as well as the University Presses, University of Chicago, and Princeton University. So I've been using Amazon for a long time, particularly once I really started to more heavily buy books. In part, they're a great large selection, great prices, and free shipping and fast delivery. So for years, the bulk of my book buying has been Amazon. For a while, Amazon shared with Alibris and Book Depository, but Book Depository is closed, shuttered, so it's not going to be, except as mentioned, it won't be mentioned again. I have been moving away from Amazon or solely relying on Amazon for a few years now, to where Amazon is just one book source amongst others. May still be the majority, but maybe not. So Alibris is an online used bookstore that brings together a number of independent and smaller chain bookstores. And the prices range from less than $2 to hundreds, depending on how extortionate some of the sellers are. There is no way in hell a volume of Magic the Labyrinth of Magic should be more than $15. Certainly not $130, but anyway. But I've been using Alibris for about as long as I've used Amazon for my book purchases. In fact, these two are the two that were before BookTube. And it's usually one or two orders with Alibris a month, although it's different sellers. Some are chains, some are or warehouse, others are brick and mortar, like Majors and Quinn I've used, Midtown Scholar I've used, and others. So Amazon, Alibris, and Book Depository, dearly departed, were my sources up until 2020. With the pandemic, I thought it would be incumbent upon me to support independent bookstores. Also, at this time, Amazon was basically de-emphasizing non-essential goods, for which books are included. So yeah, so I was thinking, okay, it probably would be useful to like expand my bookish buying, like my sources. So I started with Book People, the storied independent bookstore in Austin, Texas, that I love dearly. When I lived in Austin, I would go once a week, maybe twice a week. Not twice a week, once every other week. But it was frequently. It was my favorite place in Austin. But I hadn't shopped with Book People since I left Austin years ago. So, but I decided to like make an order, and then I periodically made orders with them since. That has over the past year really increased. Um, and I'll talk a bit about that in a bit. Um, I also briefly did some orders with Fabled, well, it's no longer quite new. At the time, it was new. Independent bookstore located in Waco, Texas, that I ordered a few things from. But I had this thing about shipping and handling, and Fabled was fairly expensive. The shipping and handling was steep. So I only ordered a few things from them. Also, the selection is not well. I wasn't too terribly impressed with the selection. Although at the time I was in a bit of a whatever you call my classics, canonical, modern, and contemporary fiction, poetry, and drama kick. At that time, but anyway, so I haven't ordered anything with Fabled since 2020, and then a few months later, I was somehow I went to got onto the Oregon Public Broadcasting's website, and there was an article, a story about Portland, not Portland, Powell's, the glorious independent bookstore in Portland, struggling due to the pandemic, and I made an order because it would be a shame if Powell's collapsed, if it folded. It is one of the great bookstores in the United States. It should not fold. Yeah, it's great. So I made an order, and I have periodically, much like with Book People, over the past year or so, increasingly ordered with them. So moving on to Labyrinth. Labyrinth is a used bookstore that is in some way, shape, or form associated with Princeton University Press. They have catalogs that they release every so often, and I will make an order every few months. I mean, they're pretty big orders. So, and I've pretty much enjoyed my shopping experiences with them, although they could use with some more manga. But anyway, although I think my next order with them might be a bit more classics, canonical, modern, and contemporary fiction, poetry, drama. Yes, I'm getting into another phase with them, even though I really shouldn't. But anyway, this is not that. Let's focus on the book buying, not on what I'm buying. So yeah, I make a few orders with them every few months. And then in 2021, I discovered university presses and their sales. Every year, University of Chicago Press has a massive sale with great prices and really good selection of books. So I've used that a few times. They also periodically have catalogs that have some great stuff in it, although their literature catalog could be better. Their history catalog is great, and their science catalogs are great. So I'll order with them a few times a year. In Princeton, they have a shorter big sale at the beginning of the year, and they periodically have sales throughout the year as well. And so I shop with them, both history as well as with Princeton, it's poetry. With in Chicago, it would be poetry too, as well as some of the science stuff. But anyway, so those are my sources. I am thinking of expanding, particularly looking at used bookstores, because like I mentioned earlier, I like one of my interests now are manga. I mean, obviously. So I'm looking for new sources to, particularly for manga, because I have 8 volumes of Magi: The Labyrinth of Magic left, and I really would like to complete the series this year. And while Powell's will provide, I have no patience. But anyway, so yeah. So my frequency of buying with my online sellers. So over the past few months, I've been shopping almost as much with Powell's and Book People as I have with Amazon and Alibris. In fact, last month it was, I think there were 2 Amazon orders, 1 Alibris order, 2 Book People orders, and 3 Powell's orders, not including the pre-ordering, because I basically, as far as like pre-ordering is concerned, which I do quite a bit of, Amazon, I only pre-order like certain forthcoming history titles from Amazon. And then I pretty much have moved my like manga pre-ordering, like Eden Zero, forthcoming volumes of Eden Zero, Jujutsu Kaisen, Taliban Hanako-kun, Demons of the Shadow Realm, others, because I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to start pre-ordering forthcoming the final volumes of My Hero Academia and other series that I pretty much pre-ordered them with Powell's and Book People. Book People has Eden Zero. I have it pre-ordered up till I think August. So I think relatively soon I'm going to do another order to get caught up with what they have, like the next batch of volumes that are available for pre-order, as well as the next 2 volumes of Demons of the Shadow Realm. And then with Powell's, it's the next volume of Taliban Hanako-kun and Jujutsu Kaisen. So anyway, so I pretty much, and I'm probably this weekend going to actually do, and so this month, oh, and I also had one order with Princeton. I keep forgetting that because I pre-ordered it months ago, but anyway. So this month, so far, there's 1 Amazon order that just came in. Probably will be another one because there's a gift card that I'm going to use. 1 order with Book People, 1 order with Powell's. Probably be at least 1 more with Powell's. Maybe another one with Book People too. And I think I'm building up for 1 with Alibris. And of course, there's also a Princeton coming in too. But I'll talk a lot more about that when my June book haul comes in. Okay, so that's basically my online book buying, which is exclusively online and a wide variety of sources, Amazon and like independent bookstores and others. So I don't shop with Barnes & Noble largely because like Amazon has some beat. I mean, because I also buy other things from Amazon besides books. Now, talking about physically walking into a physical brick and mortar bookstore. The last time I went to one was 7 months ago for my birthday. And that was to the local Barnes & Noble in Waco. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. I didn't spend as much time as I would have liked to really browse the shelves and what have you, largely because of the circumstances of my going. I would love to periodically visit Barnes & Noble. I don't know exactly how often I would go, but I would love to go. I would also love to pay a visit to Fabled and check out what they have and order some stuff and support them. Excuse me, I would love to go back to Golden's, my favorite used books, well, my favorite physical used bookstore in Waco. I'd love to go to Brazos, the other used bookstore in Waco that I really like. I actually like both of them. But I don't drive. So I have to rely on someone else to transport me. And my brother and sister-in-law are not necessarily all that keen on taking me places, to the point where I refrain from asking them most of the time. My aunts periodically come to visit my mom, and that's basically how I went to Barnes & Noble for my birthday. Is my aunt, who drives them, who drives herself and her sister, here, offered to take me to Barnes & Noble or any book shopping if I wanted to, and I took her up on that. But again, they're coming to see my mom, and I don't really want to take away from that. So, yeah. So I don't ask to be taken to run errands or anything unless it's like absolutely necessary. And then there is a bus service. The city of Waco does offer a rural transportation, like rural transport. So they send a bus to satellite communities around Waco to basically take clients from their home outside, like their locations outside of Waco, to a destination in like a one-way trip to a destination in Waco, and then to take them back at a set time later. But the problem with that is that I've done that once. In 2019, I took a bus to Golden's in August. It was August 2019 because of their like even month book sale. The problem is the bus ride to Golden's took me about an hour. And by the time I got there, the bus to bring me back was already waiting for me. So, I was able to basically do some shopping because they basically just rearranged when they were going to bring me back. And then I think the bus ride back was about an hour or two. And oftentimes there is that possibility of being on the bus far longer than you want, going to your destination and certainly coming back. There have been numerous times on the return trip where it would take an hour. And while yes, McLennan County is rather lovely to look at, the rural parts of it are, and there are interesting bits of Waco that you never see except for like in that situation. But still, it's like I do not want to spend more time on the journey to and from than I am at the destination. I don't use the bus. So that's why, as much as I would love to physically go to a bookstore, I don't. Although there is also the pandemic, which, even though it's mostly, at least the media says it's mostly over, but yeah. So anyway, that's my book buying. hopefully it helps. Well, hopefully Steve it helps. But anyway, so I've gone on a bit longer than I had anticipated, so I might not be able to do a second video today. So if I don't have a double one day this week, but like tomorrow or Thursday, then either, depending how my reading goes for the rest of this week, I will either do weekly reads on the early video. And so the last video of this week will be the 900th video Q&A, because that's where video 900 would be. Or I could just go ahead and do the 899 would be the 900 Q&A, and my weekly reads would be video 900. Or if there's another video, like another day I skipped, then I'll do maybe I could do the Q&A on like next Monday. But the plan is still for sometime on Friday. I would prefer to do it on the earlier video, like the first video on Friday. But we shall see how it goes. But again, there is still time to do to ask your questions, because the cutoff is on Thursday. So if you still have any questions, I'll leave a link to my Q&A call in the show notes down below, as well as links to Steve Donahue's channel and the other booktuber who kind of had some influence on this video, or on Steve's videos, and then hence this one as well. So anyway, booktube, that's all I got for now. So until I see you tomorrow with probably either a tag video or a video I tried to do yesterday. So, well, I guess before I go, I'll talk a bit about the videos I tried to do yesterday. So the first one was my an original tag that I've been working on for what seems like months now, and it's I don't want to abandon it because I put in a lot of work, and it could be fun, but it's not working. So I need to either retool it to where I can ask the questions in a different way, or maybe just make a different book tag video. I need to think about that. The other video I wanted to do was go through my Libris wish list and use a random number generator, and then go to the books that are basically at that number, and decide whether I wanted to buy them or delete them from my wish list, which I actually did in part, and I actually had filmed most of that video, but I had a bit of an emergency to take care of, so I had to scuttle that video. So I might try it again tomorrow. We shall see. But it was a bit of fun. I had one book added to my wish list, to the card, although I think I ought to actually take the time to read an excerpt and see if I still want to buy it. Another one I need to was a biography of Napoleon, which I actually need to read some of the author's work, because I actually have 2 books by him. So I really ought to read those before I buy anything else from him or by him. And the third book I decided to delete because I have absolutely no idea what the hell it's doing on my wish list. But the synopsis really made me not want to buy it. So anyway, booktube, that's all I have for today. So until I see you tomorrow, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.